now, I buy me paper. Every day I gotta buy a paper. There's a man who bought me paper before. I'm buying paper now because the time has reached. So I thought the old man could be president in 2017 and run for this. And he said, he said, when you run for one term, he said, I agree with him. 2023, no, I disagree. In my mind, he should rest. Find somebody else.
Gabriel had to go sleep to the main store.
So the man wanted for you to go sleep on the web post.
Yeah. He said, I'm joining to go sleep to the web main store to get money to the store that will go take it from there. I said, my man, we bad for the same leisure.
Then how can the police catch you now?
The police before the man called me back. Now on the 18th, they more.
The same man now.
Yeah, the same man.
The same man who want for you to go sleep.
Yeah, he called me on the 18th.
Yeah.
Now in the around 8:30, the man called me. He said, "Oh, my man, I election been I'll call you back again."
So that time you go to work?
I go to work.
You leave for your working place, you come to the man.
Yeah, I'm from to my working area to Clarence to now go to the man.
To go steal now?
No, I'm not go steal. I'm not go steal. I mean, I go to yeah. How you question me? The thing you want for me to explain for you to understand. Then still questioning me, doubling the question. How many talk clear now?
Okay, let's go now. I beg you, sorry.
I see.
When they call you in the now.
When the man call me in the
yeah.
He asked me, say, how many of you are working to the area? I say, we are 3.
You told the message you're 3.
Yeah. So he said, I want to give you tea to carry to the
message. You want to give you what tea?
Tea. Have milk tea.
Oh, milk tea.
Yeah.
For you to drink
with bread.
The bread.
3 pieces of bread.
With egg inside.
With egg inside my butter. So when I carry it to the man, say carry it to the man. When you give it to the man, then you must come back to the car.
So the food make you now carry that so you can go convince your friend.
Yeah. When I give it to the man, the man say thank you. I say okay. The man say, oh, where you going now? I say, oh, I'm going right car. So one of my friends called me.
Yeah, the same man you going to now.
Yeah, the same man.
And the man tell you say he want for you to go steal.
No, yeah. So when I go to the man, he say clean the car. Then they are 2 now.
In the Jeep.
In the Jeep. Then they are 2.
A big Jeep.
Yeah. Black DG, photo G. Yeah. So when I clean the car now,
air condition all inside.
No, Papa, you can't wait for me to spin now. I'll leave the water now. You can judge people.
I'm just asking you a question, sorry.
You can judge people like you can here.
No, I'm a journalist. I beg you, sorry.
The way you talk in the question, let's say when I move from here, I'll free. Let's say when I move from here, I'll free. You said one talk again. I wanted to mean who talk clear to you, but you double in the question. Hi, looking, then you want post and no more word again. Why not be looking to the top? I'm not going to again. And said they call me to the office at OSP.
I think he's saying to me that you come to get paid. You say you carry the tea to the man. After you carry the tea to the man, and you come now. So what next now?
And for me, I'll not fair.
Nobody, you getting very. You say asking you too much question. Hey, that's me. Things say make your egg and bread. You bring it to, okay, sorry. Now I say sorry now. Okay, sorry.
If you
I will not ask you the question again. Okay, sorry.
When I give you answer now, then you.
Okay. Explain again. I'm not asking you no more question again. Okay, let's go now.
Go to school. The English say I'm naming the English.
Okay, sorry. What is sorry now? Sorry.
You take that. You take that.
I'm taking time. Okay, sorry. Okay.
I can take time to
explain.
Okay.
I'm filled with a profound sense of gratitude and humility. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve as your president and commander-in-chief for the past 6 years. Together, in 2018, we embarked on a journey to build a united, peaceful, and prosperous Liberia. And I am deeply thankful for the trust and support you have bestowed upon me and my administration during my tenure. As we navigate the complexity of governance, your partnership was instrumental in the development and implementation of policies and programs that aim to bring progress and development to our great nation. Reflecting on the accomplishment of these 6 years, let me tell you that I am proud of what we have achieved together. We have built roads, supported free wires and free tuition at high schools and public universities, stabilized the macroeconomic challenges we face in 2018, built hundreds of pro-poor housing units, and achieved on so many fronts that we are able to list here today. However, I acknowledge that there is always room for improvement, and perhaps more could have been done under different circumstances. Regrettably, some of the long-term projects we initiated did not reach completion during my tenure. I am hopeful that the incoming administration will carry the torch forward and bring these initiatives to fruition for the benefit of all Liberians. Fellow compatriots, rumors, and misinformation have played a large part in our politics over the last 6 years. It is my hope we as a country will overcome this challenge over the next 6 years. To begin this, we must start with the facts of the transition. I must report to you that we are leaving behind a better economy than we inherited. Today, President-elect Joseph Nima Bouaka will inherit a stronger economy than I inherited. There is a bigger net international reserve position that was handed me in 2018. I inherited 94,999,000 United States dollars in net international reserves. And I am handing over to the next administration a net international reserve position of 222,700,000.
When you elect a clown and you think that he will be a king, what he does is to convert the kingdom into a circus. This is what we must deal with, and this is what we must say. Who do we elect into our public offices? Because, as I've said before, when you allow hyenas to take care of goats, why should you be surprised when the goats are eaten? This is the same. And Africa is only going to realize our potential in all areas when, by dint of choice, we enable and allow our best men and women to serve in different areas. I've heard it being said about Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore. I've heard it being suggested about Mahathir Mohamad in Malaysia. I've heard it being said about Japan. I've heard it being said about other countries, but there was a conscious decision on the part of those individuals and the followership. We always talk about leaders, but we never talk about the followers. The followers must also style up. Africans on average are for some reason attracted to thieves. Africans are for some reason attracted to men and women who cannot serve her. And when they are not served, then they complain. When Africans are told, choose you now whom we shall release, Jesus of Nazareth or Barabbas, they say, release Barabbas. And when Barabbas behaves like Barabbas, they say, why are you not behaving like Christ? It cannot be done.
In May of 2001, signed a second of two executive orders, number 13213, Defense Exhibit D310, in which it was stated, and I quote, the government of Liberia's complicity in the RUF's illicit trade in diamonds and its other forms of support for the RUF are direct challenges to the United States foreign policy objectives in the region, as well as the rule-based international order that is critical to the peace and prosperity of the United States. Therefore, I find these actions by the government of Liberia contribute to the unusual and extraordinary threat to the foreign policy of the United States described in Executive Order 13194, with respect to which the President declared a national emergency. This executive order did not say the alleged complicity, it concluded the complicity. The conspiracy was born, all systems put into motion, and here I stand today. I never stood a chance. This is the broader contextual matrix that regrettably did not and still has not seen the light of day in these proceedings, despite the gallant efforts by the defense to unearth and reveal the contextual framework behind the charges against me. Now, with the two executive orders, the dogs were let out, so to speak. What followed was a dispatch of the attack pack led by Lieutenant Colonel David Crane, Defense Intelligence 30 years prosecutor. He, Crane, unlawfully unsealed the court's sealed indictment to his handlers, senior U.S. government officials at the U.S. Embassy in Freetown, and was never held to account. The rest of the operational team are Colonel Brandon Hollis, Defense Intelligence, CIA, U.S. Air Force, Senior Trial Counsel, and now prosecutor. James C. Johnson, U.S. Army expert, 20 years on conventional and special operations, Chief of Prosecutions for the SCSL. Alan White, 30 years, Defense Intelligence, recalled from retirement to head up investigations at the Special Court of Sierra Leone. Stephen J. Rapp came on board as chief prosecutor for a short time of experience from Capitol Hill, where he served with the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee sometime before. It came as no surprise to me that as a reward of sorts for Stephen Rapp's diligence in the execution of U.S. foreign policy objectives through these ad hoc tribunals, he was appointed U.S. Ambassador at Large for War Crimes issues. In support of the contextual framework of politics, on February 8, 2006, Lieutenant Colonel David Crane, prosecutor, appeared before a U.S. Congress Subcommittee on Africa, Defense Exhibit D-404, and spelled out in clear terms the decision taken in support of regime change in Liberia and what needed to happen to solidify that process. There was little mention, if any, in his testimony about Sierra Leone. And here is what he said. I posit that 5 years from now, when the international community is challenged by other crises, Taylor in Calabar, under the protection of Nigeria, will make his move. We will wake up one morning and watch on CNN as Taylor rides triumphantly down the main street in Monrovia to the executive mansion, daring all of us to come and get him. Unless he is handed over to the special court for Sierra Leone, that scenario is not out of the realm of possibilities. He then asked, how do we assure Liberia's future? And he answers that. Ultimately, he says, what we do about Taylor in the next several weeks will determine the fate of Liberia and the new administration of its president, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Crane then sets out several plans, two of which I'll state here. He said, first, hand Charles Taylor over to the special court for Sierra Leone for a fair trial, his kind of trial. This takes him out of the local and regional dynamics that is West Africa. Second, tie any financial and political support to good governance in Liberia. Time does not permit, but the exhibits are present. Not even the Nigerian nation was spared from threats and intimidation, as explained by Femi Kayode, press secretary to President Obasanjo, the Nigerian head of state, who was with him in Washington when President George W. Bush promised, and I quote, to bring Nigeria to its knees if Taylor was not turned over to the special court. And what happened? Obasanjo buckled and capitulated. Now, this demonstrates the significant pressure that was brought to bear on President Obasanjo, irrespective of his personal and leadership obligations to the West African sub-region. And therein lies the dilemma for current African heads of state and government, but how to enter into binding commitments and obligations with the African pairs and remain steadfast, resolute, and unyielding in their fidelity to those agreements in the face of such unrelenting and punishing pressure from powerful Western leaders.
My people, where you at? Where you at? Wake up for your stomach. Stop slipping. Whip your hands, whip your hands, whip your hands, whip your... Come on, come on, come on.
And it's 19 minutes past 8 o'clock. I'm not asking you to raise your hand. I'm asking you to charge your phone or keep your radio on charge. As we engage to that on the different issues confronting our country, affecting our people, undermining their living conditions, from the economic perspective. And so let me say a very, very pleasant good evening to all of you across the country. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to those of you in the diaspora. Our friends, our fans, our followers, our critics, and even those of you who do not like the things we say and the way we say them. It's good to have all of you joining us tonight. Today is the 5th day of March and it's 2025. It's on a Wednesday. It's Wednesday's edition of the show. This is Freedom Hard Talk. This is Freedom FM. This is 87.9. This is Austin Kawas edition. As a matter of fact, you will always hear this voice behind these microphones. Mondays to Thursdays and Fridays we take our break. Two very important things to talk about tonight. As you may be aware, the House Speaker, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Councillor Jonathan Funanti Kofa, appeared for questioning today before the Liberia National Police. And following his interaction with the police, he spoke succinctly to the press. And so tonight we call on him and say, Chief, you have to talk to us. We have to do a summary interview with you tonight about your appearance today. He said, okay, no problem. And so very shortly, we are going to go to the telephone line to speak with the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Councillor Funanti Kofa. We will ask him the necessary questions and he will answer our questions. Just after that interview, Her Excellency former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is in the news. She had a lot to say today about the performance of the Liberia National Police, the ruling from the Supreme Court of Liberia in the situation up Capitol Hill, and the conduct of lawmakers as well, especially members of the House of Representatives. What did Ellen Johnson Sirleaf say today? We have the recording. We are going to play you that recording, and that's going to form our analysis, form the basis for our analysis here tonight on the governance process of the country. All in all, the critics continue to say Joe Barker is lost. He's not in charge. He's off. His batteries are off. He cannot do the people's business. He does not have the capacity to preside over the state. Should he go? Yes, some say he should resign and step aside and allow Jeremiah Kun to continue. Some say no. Jeremiah Kun is going to be worst. Let Joe Barker stay there until his 6 years elapses. And so that's what it is. A different school of thought. And everybody is saying what he or she believes it should be done. Whatever the case is, these are the two major issues we're going to place emphasis on tonight. Very short day, we take a break. We'll take a word from our sponsor, Crime Stopper Liberia. And welcome all of you who join us tonight on the show. And then we'll place a call to Councillor Jonathan Funanti Kofa. He will talk to us tonight. In some of the interviews, yes, there are some questions that were irrelevant to the indictment, but we had to appear before the police, even though we do not trust the process. But the fact that we are law-abiding citizens, respectable citizens in the country, we just had to show up. So yes, let's take a break from our sponsor, Crime Stopper Liberia. When we come back, we welcome all of you tonight. But today we'll suspend the welcoming ceremony. And then we take a break from our sponsor, Crime Stopper Liberia. And then we speak to Councillor Funanti Kofa before we welcome all of you to the show, because Councillor Kofa has to go to bed. So let's take a walk from our sponsor, Crime Stopper Liberia of OMSM Science. When we come back, we talk to Councillor Kofa. We welcome all of you. We talk cash giveaway. Tonight, we're paying out 20,000 Liberian dollars to all of you who will play and win our cash giveaway tonight.
In every community, you can see So if you see crime and report it, don't take law in your hands for the right authority. Really can't take care of it. Crime Stopper left for us, bringing safety to your door. Whether you rich or you poor, if you see a human talking, I mean you check. You work for your safety. If you see it, don't keep it. You must part to report it. Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime and making peace for them before. Crime Stopper, Liberia, from the center to interior. Crime Stopper, keeping us safe, they're stopping crime for all of us. Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime and making peace for them before. Crime Stopper, Liberia, from the center to interior. Crime Stopper, keeping us safe, they're stopping crime for all of us.
Crime Stopper Liberia is your community crime fighting partner. Don't take the law into your own hands. Remember, if you see a crime, report it. This is a message from your own self, Old Man Sam Sion.
Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime and making peace for them before. Crime Stopper, Liberia, from the center to interior. Crime Stopper, keeping us safe, they're stopping crime for all of us. Crime Stopper, the people bringing safety to your door. Crime Stopper, stopping crime and making peace for them before. Crime Stopper, Liberia.
Okay, folks. So let's bring this one down. Like we announced to you very shortly, we said to you that we're going to have a summary interview with the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Councillor Jonathan Fonante Kofa. And so Councillor Kofa has joined us tonight in a summary interview. It means the interview is going to be short. So Councillor Kofa, good evening to you, and thanks for always availing yourself to talk to us.
Good evening, Austin. Good evening to your audience.
Okay, you sound extremely relaxed, as always, anyway.
Yeah. I was trying to relax for the evening, get ready for bed.
Okay, sorry we have to take up some of your time to talk to us tonight because we have a huge audience that believe in you and the position you've taken. But whatever the situation is, I'd like to know what really may have come to your mind. Firstly, when you received the invitation from the police to appear before them, did they call you for questioning, investigation? What could be more comfortable in terms of the choice of words that we should use?
No, so I was in the U.S. when I learned that they had sent a communication to the majority bloc that I was person of interest. I was one of those, and that they were going to be calling. I was surprised because prior to then, I had given any information they asked of me. So I just thought it was a little bit disingenuous for them to send a letter to the majority bloc. It was being a little political.
Okay.
So I cut my trip short to come and to avail myself of the process, so that whatever information needed for me, additional information, other than what I had already provided, I can provide it.
And that was all because I remember in one of your interviews, you said that you had done a written statement to them, narrating probably what you know about what they want you to talk about. And then they send you the second invitation. Now you appear today. Initially, you should have appeared on Monday, but they rescheduled the appearance, and then you appear today. But let's talk about what transpired in the room. What do we need to know that transpired in the room? What were you quizzed about?
Well, most of the questions centered around my employees that were arrested or are suspected. About 3 employees from our office and 1 security. They did, of course, again ask me a question about my internet post, the Alamo. I had already given a statement to that. I explained it again. They asked me if I knew anything, if I had prior knowledge about the fire. I told them no. And those are the kind of questions they were asking.
Did you find those questions relevant to the indictment, especially when some of your staffers have already been arrested, investigated, charged, and then indicted? Did you find some of those questions relevant to the charges or the indictment?
Well, as far as whether I knew them or they worked for me, I confirmed that. That's information they already knew. They seem to have, through observation of one of my employees' phone, access to our staff chat room, and they asked me about one or two comments in that chat room. Other than that, the other thing they asked about whether I had advanced knowledge about the fire or not, I didn't find that relevant because I didn't know anything, as I told them.
Now, talking about the credibility of the ongoing investigation, is this something that you can vouch for, that yes, you think something credible is being done, whether it's coming from the Liberia National Police or the Joint Security and all of that? Is it something that you feel comfortable that you can say, yes, I think I'm comfortable with the ongoing investigation?
Well, I have my concerns, and my concern put around, it seems as though something happened. We determine it's a crime. We determine who we want to charge for it, and then we start to look for the evidence that tends to point to those people. For example, nobody have yet explained how the chairs in the joint chambers did not burn. Nobody have been questioned about it. Nobody can explain why only one set of lawmakers have been targeted and their staff. Some of the assumptions being made, for example, I have a staff person who shows up every day at 6 o'clock over there, which is Tom Etheridge that you have arrested.
Yeah.
And your principal evidence is his pickup was seen at the Capitol building. But of course, his pickup would be at the Capitol building because he was there. That's his job to be there. If it wasn't his job to be there at that time, then you will have a reasonable suspicion as to why he was there early. But he's supposed to go there 6 o'clock every morning to get the place ready for us to leave my residence and by 8 o'clock and be to work by 8:30. You know, so there are just some small things that people trying to blow up to make it look suspicious.
And for me, I'm concerned about the suspicions being raised about the two chairs in the joint chamber. To what extent this should be considered a grievous or an grievous concern by the public, and to what extent are you determined to really put this as an argument that will form a legal basis if in the case where you are possibly indicted by the state and for prosecution?
Yeah, then that's what is called alternative theory. Then we're going to have to visit those alternative theories because as part of any defense, because the majority black gave two different reasons on the issues of those chairs. The first, they said those were chairs from the days of Edwin Melvin Snow as speaker.
Correct.
Then they later changed that those chairs were taken after the accession from the joint chambers into one of the offices for safekeeping. Okay? And we know for a fact, and we have evidence to that effect, that those chairs always remain there after the accession because they had the keys and stuff. They had exclusive control over those premises. The second is, it was the day after a major protest, and the police had control of the premises. So who did the police see? Who did the police allow in? You know, those are questions, those are issues that are raised that investigators don't seem to be interested in.
Speaker Cover, how did the conversation or the interaction, how did it end today? Did they say to you, for example, okay, we are ending on this note and we may call you at any time when necessary, or did they close the interaction between you and the police?
No, they didn't say anything about calling me when necessary. They'll close the interview. They said, thanks for coming and cooperating. I expressed myself and told them I'll be available at any time, as I've always been, to cooperate.
Now, I'll just ask you maybe one or two questions and then let you go. The first thing, I'm sure you've read some narratives from the quote-unquote independent fire investigation that was done by those 3 U.S. fighters or whatever they are, and where there's a big word being used now, insinuating and all of that. How do you welcome or how do you embrace the narratives coming from this investigation?
Okay, the first is to establish, number one, contrary to what the police said, that they came as a result of mutual assistance from the U.S. government and that they were delayed because of transition. That is not true. We know that they came because they are friends and political supporters of the regime. That is the fact.
Okay.
They are not forensic. They are not forensic crime scene investigators. They are firefighters. Okay, there's a distinction there. People who investigate fires and people who are just mere firefighters. Okay, I'm concerned that they said there was a single point of origin under the speaker's podium.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with that is, I think they said there were 3 or 4 persons or maybe more who were in the chambers at the time the fire was ignited. So you're saying, number one, either 5 persons lit the fire at one point, or 1 person lit the fire and 4 other persons were standing looking, right?
Correct.
Usually when fire investigation is done and arson is found, you will find that the arson has multiple points of origin. If you have 5 people in a building trying to light the fire, they will each light it at a different point. So that part of the thing is not clear. But I'm glad they contradicted the police inspector in the fire department. Remember, they said they rule out electrical fire because fire was in the building at the time it was burning.
Correct.
And that was the evidence. It is not true that when building is burning, electricity will be there. When my house was on fire, the entire time we had electricity, we had to cut off the breaker. So that was not true. The other thing is that contradicts. If the police investigation found that electricity was in the building, how then did the fire investigators that came from the United States find out that they ruled out electrical fire, because at the time all the conduits were cut? You know, plus other problems that you may have is if the report come out, the use of the word incendiary, okay, takes away from whether or not it was arson with criminal intent. So that goes to show you there's something they found that led them to believe that the fire was caused, but not necessarily by arson. It may have been an accident, deliberate. You know, if somebody accidentally lights a fire, you're smoking and you drop cigarette or something like that, and you feel you can put it on, you flee the building, it's likely that the building will burn, and you may not want to be associated with it. I'm saying this to say there may be alternative theories that I'm not sure was looked at because there was already a foregone conclusion.
And the report recommended the need for the report left open the need for additional analysis or investigation to establish the actual cause. So they were not clear whether it's arson or not. They said they're leaving it open for the maybe for a criminal investigation to establish. Now, with all of these happenings and all of this, does this suggest that does this confirm some of the speculations in the public that certain people from certain places are being targeted on political grounds and all of that? Do you share some of these opinions?
Not only do I share it, I raised it with them. They assured me that they were being professional and they were not guided by the political directions of anyone. I hold them to their word.
You hold them to their word.
Mhm.
Okay, Council, thank you. Thank you. I think we can end on this note.
You're welcome. Also.
Thank you for always talking to us. So that's the voice of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Councillor Jonathan Fonante Kofa, who told you it was a summary interview about his appearance today before the presence of police investigators, and that we're not going to spend longer time talking to him or talking with him on the different issues. Also, you listened to him, you heard him. The speaker said that he has a number of observations that he has raised with the police investigators, and he raised the issue about the chairs. He's deeply concerned about how the chairs, the two chairs that the speaker and the deputy speaker use, which are the official seats of the speaker and the deputy speaker. How did they leave the building that night of the incident? Okay, he's concerned about that, and he's considered that as an alternative, something that they're going to use just in case the need arises for him to get maybe charged and indicted and all of that for prosecution. So the alternative means they're going to use to gather evidence and prove wrong to the investigators or the charges and all of that. Now, let's go through the report. Let's go just to the conclusion aspect. But before we go there, we said that we were going to welcome all of you who joined us tonight. And so before we welcome all of you who joined us, you all have already listened to the Speaker of the House. Now, tonight we're paying out 20,000 Liberian dollars to each of our winners. All you have to do, make sure you have 200 Liberian dollars on your mobile money account, and or it's equivalent in US dollars, which is $1.70. It's equivalent. $1.50. Sorry, it's equivalent. Now, once you have that, you dial *799 *70 hash. That's a short code. *799 *70 hash. It's the short code. You dial, and then once you dial that, two options will appear before you. Option number one will be asking you to play in US dollars, and option number two will be asking you to play in Liberian dollars. Whichever option you select, you send and you enter your mobile money password. So that's how you play the cash giveaway tonight. Easy, very simple for you, and all of that. So again, *799 *70 hash is the short code to play the cash giveaway. When you dial that, two options will appear before you. Option number one will be asking you to play in US dollars, and option number two will be asking you to play in Liberian dollars. Whichever option you enter, you send and enter your mobile money password. So again, that's how it works, and that's how it is for all of you. Now, before we read for you the report, the conclusion in this report, which is very important for those of you who may not have heard it. Let's welcome all of you who joined us tonight to the show. We had to talk to Councillor Kofa before welcoming you because he actually had to run to bed. Venetia's Junior Bar, Opa Ahamo, CDC Papi Success, Kita, Anna Taylor, Agatha Glasgow, Peter Wande, Domo Love, Domo Bernice, Barrick, Bruce. Welcome to all of you. Welcome to the show tonight. Nelson Sumo, Elisha's Woolley, Doris Smith, Solomon, Wia, Fazari, Sheton, Will Zulu, Bright, Mahedina Brown, Mawata Bediti, Victoria Morris, Matthew Ndule, Yasa Sharif, Abdullah Dule, Bennu Kamara, Jala Wilson Jackson, Elijah Colley. All of you, welcome to the show tonight. Moses passed away, and Doris Cooper. All of you, Martin Dombo, welcome to the show tonight. Now, okay, so let's read. We just read the conclusion of the report, the concluding portion of the report. I think I'll take my time to read everything. Yeah, okay. Yeah, let me take my time to read everything. Okay, so let me take this water break. Enough things happening. So The guy said in the conclusion of this report conducted by the Fire Rescue Alliance, they said, conclusion. They said, based on the systematic fire investigation following best practices, this fire has been classified as incendiary in nature. We'll tell you what that means. The determination was reached through a methodology through a methodological analysis of fire patterns, materials damage, witness statements, and physical evidence processed and collected at the scene. It went further to say, or it goes further to say, the area of origin has been identified at or near the speaker's podium, where the most significant fire damage was identified. This finding is supported by burn patterns analysis and correlates with witness statements regarding the fire, the first windows breaking on the west side of the building. Some are asking, who are the witnesses? Which introduced additional oxygen and intensified the fire. Our investigation concludes that a fire originating near the speaker's podium would involve a lot of combustibles such as furniture, cloth burning, foam chairs, carpet, and the like. The rapid spread of this fire suggests an inactivated liquid was used to allow such a fire to spread to full involvement within minutes. Above the speaker's podium was a vertical wall cover. It was a vertical wall cover with wood paneling and the Liberian crest on the face. Let me zoom on the face, on the face, on the face, on the face. With the fire originating at or near the podium, the fire moved vertically up the wall and across the underneath side of the west wall balcony. It then moved vertically. It then moved vertically. Those of you watching, it then moved vertically. Vertically. It then moved vertically up of the front of the wood cover, backdropped with the Liberian crest and to the ceiling. Our investigation ruled out an electrical cause, as an examination of electrical conductors in the area of origin found no evidence of icing or short circuiting. Additionally, prior vandalism had resulted in exterior electrical conductors being cut, further eliminating the possibility of an electrical ignition source. No evidence of any gas appliances or active electrical loads was present at the time of the fire. Building maintenance started the air conditioning units were not working. Building maintenance stated, the air conditioning units were not working, and if they were, they would not have been in use, as they do not operate them unless the chamber is in use. You know I'm gonna read it and you're calling me. Yeah, just to distract. Within the area of origin and along primary in Grace routes, we located 8-gallon container. 8-gallon container. We located 8 1-gallon container. I mean, the 1 gallon, they were 8. They located 8 1-gallon containers which were not observed in the building less than 24 hours prior during a legislative meeting. The placement of these containers, particularly near exits, suggest intentional effort to obstruct ingress and increase fire spread. May have been the intent. Whether Samuel Kuka then took the gallon and put it in the building, that's why they say nobody should enter the building. The temple of the temple of the crown scene, all of that. Take that own gallons, put it there and call fire people. Nobody knows. See, they may not. Now, this is what I have to say, and then we'll move on to President Sharif stuff, which is more important for our governance process. Because all what is going on, we've said to you repeatedly that it's all witch hunt. 72 persons can be in one building, have equal rights and equal access to the building at any time. The building is fully manned by armed personnel of the ERU and the PSU. And then the building is guarded by fire, and only a set few from the other side of the divide that does not seem to be playing to the whims and caprices of the government. And so they say, we just target these lawmakers. So obviously, anybody will say, yeah, it's just mere political wish hunt. And so let's see how it plays and all of that. But here's what I have to say, okay? The police and the government will have to be extremely careful. And this is going to push us into what President Sharif had to say today. Let's listen to President Sharif. This is what she had to say today. She spoke strongly about the courts, the Supreme Court particularly, the legislature, and the police. And this is what she had to say. Listen. Let's bring this down. Let's take former President Sharif.
This summit.
No, man, don't start that thing here.
Summit could not be convened at a more reflective and challenging time for our country. Today, perhaps more than ever before, this summit could not be convened at a more reflective and challenging time for our country. Today, perhaps more than ever before, we confront the daunting challenge of a dismal economic outlook and the increasing prospect of lacking only to ourselves to improve the conditions of the living in our country. To put it more bluntly, today, more than ever, we are on our own. There's no on-mill, and there will be no international force in our country to turn to our nation's security if we choose to break our own laws. Now is not the time for members of our national security institution to be engaged in public scuffle among themselves that can only serve to undermine public trust and confidence in their sworn duty to maintain and enforce law and order. Also now is definitely not the time for the Supreme Court to deliver an ambiguous ruling that may take us away from a peaceful resolution of the knowingly disruption unfolding. This is not the time for legislatures to spend their time bickering and spending the nation reserves in the interest of accumulation of power and reserves. The truth is that there will also be, if we do the right thing, consequences when we act with courage to do the right thing, or we would falter in dereliction by pretending blindness in the face of an obvious wrong. May I remind that courage is the cornerstone of our nation. It took courage to declare the independence, our independence, to conclude an end to our wars and to defeat Ebola. Courage is a part of our national DNA. I say this to inspire all of us and to make the point that now and always it will require our inherited courage to join into our destiny of democracy, inclusive development, unity, and political accountability.
Inclusive development, unity, and political accountability. Listen to President Sirleaf again.
This summit could not be convened at a more reflective and challenging time for our country. Today, perhaps more than ever before, we confront the daunting challenge of a dismal economic outlook and the increasing prospect of lacking only to ourselves to improve the conditions of the living in our country. To put it more bluntly, today, more than ever, we are on our own. There's no on-mill, and there will be no international force in our country to turn to our nation's security if we choose to break our own laws. Now is not the time for members of our national security institution to be engaged in public scuffle among themselves that can only serve to undermine public trust and confidence in their sworn duty to maintain and enforce law and order. Also now is definitely not the time for the Supreme Court to deliver an ambiguous ruling that may take us away from a peaceful resolution of the knowingly disruption unfolding. This is not the time for legislatures to spend their time bickering and spending the nation reserves.
No, President Sirleaf, hold on. Go back. Say that again. Go back. Let's hear you. Let's hear you. This is what we want to hear from you. That's it.
Among themselves that can only serve to undermine public trust and confidence in their sworn duty to maintain and enforce law and order. Also now is definitely not the time for the Supreme Court to deliver an ambiguous ruling that may take us away from a peaceful resolution of the knowingly disruption unfolding. This is not the time for legislatures to spend their time bickering and spending the nation reserves in the interest of accumulation of power and reserves. The truth is that there will also be, if we do the right thing, consequences when we act with courage to do the right thing, or we would falter in dereliction by pretending blindness in the face of an obvious wrong. May I remind that courage is the cornerstone of our nation. It took courage to declare the independence, our independence, to conclude.
Yeah, folks. You see, many times we come here and speak with boldness and a deep sense of fairness. You may find some of the adjectives at times we use to describe the action or the behavior or the attitudes of some of these government officials, including the president, who are in charge of our country. Yes. But we do these things because, or we sound the way we sound at times because we are aware, we are cognizant that there are folks who have been there with huge experience, with extreme knowledge, connection about the consequences that come along with our actions or inactions as Liberians, not to mention officials of government. When Liman Bowie spoke the other day about the manner in which the system didn't look like there were people or there was some other in charge, she was insulted. Just the other day, you call an orator here on our flag day, our Independence Day, sorry. Some of you insulted her. Just the other day, the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court spoke. A lawmaker described him as a King Jude sucker. We have a system where our leaders are not acceptable to criticism or correction. And so anybody who criticizes a system or the leader of the country, that person becomes an evil genius or an evil to the state. That person becomes an anta, Joe Baka. I know about tomorrow because I have not seen that yet, and maybe the media has not edited that because she spoke lately, and then maybe some of the news on the radio stations here, but when the newspapers come out tomorrow, and then the morning talk shows pick the story up, I know our friends or some of our friends from the UP will start insulting Ellen Johnson Sirleaf because she spoke in the manner, but she said some key things that I like to place emphasis on tonight. And all of the key things that President Sirleaf has mentioned, these are the very things that we've been saying here. We've been flagging them. We've been talking about them. I know they will call any sedition too. I know they're about to call a weashin. Because when we say these things, they call us weashins and seditions and all of that. So I know they're about to call any a weashin or a sedition too. The literacy, I always speak about the literacy of our democracy. The literacy of our democracy is low. It's extremely low. People come to the public free with 2-3 degrees. Some have double masters. But they rationalize poorly. They don't reason. Some don't even rationalize critical situations. They build their mindset in one direction. They say, I got my mind made up and I won't turn back. Like you're going to see a Jesus someday. That's how most of the people who clean or who may have gone to school, sat in formal classrooms and acquire formal education, that's how they think. To build a man straight. They say there is no room for rationalizing. There's no room for reasoning. There's no room to run a critical analysis about the situation and make an adjustment in my position. My mind is made up straight. I see nothing wrong. Everything is right. This is the situation we have today. And President Salif is reminding all of us that we have done. Those of you who continue to make this thing up Capitol Hill to look like it is a CDC UPT or it is a Fonanti Kofa and Unity Party thing. This is the disaster that we have. And we started and criticized the Supreme Court. We told you that the Supreme Court played a significant role in leading the country or having the country to where it is today, especially the House of Representatives. And President Salif has said it. When we say, you people said we are Asians and seditions, and we were politicizing everything. I don't know what they're going to say about President Salif. But there is a logic in what these critics are saying to Joe Barker and his legs that they are refusing to listen to. What are the logical or explanations in these happenings on Capitol Hill? Do you really think people look around and see the police officers are into fight every day? When policemen is fighting surveillance, civilian, or one motorcyclist, or they're in a battle with the military. And the folks out there are watching. It's been close to a week. The government has not said anything extensive or substantive since the fight between the military and the police. The government has not said anything substantive enough that it starts to governance, good governance. Like everything is okay, happy. You know, happy. No action has been taken. Nobody is being investigated. Nobody is communicating to the public and anybody that is being investigated. They are chasing politicians, lawmakers who do not support the removal of Fonanti Kofa. For them, that's what satisfies them. And they are leaving a bigger picture about the governance. President Salif mentioned that. She said, at this point, this is the first time in our history that Liberia is facing an economic challenge that places her on her own, and she's facing the challenge on her own. That Liberia is left on her own to face this economic challenge, where our major partner is suspending or wholly withdrawing aids to your country. And not only that, the fact that the USA, hey, Liberia is on the list of countries that we are withdrawing aids from. There are additional messages that action by Donald Trump sends out. There are American investors that want to come here. They will not feel comfortable coming in a country where they hear the president saying, no, our money will withdraw, our money, our aid, our contribution to Liberia, we are withdrawing them. Do you really think serious American firms or firms or companies that are in alliance with the US will feel comfortable to come here and do business with you? No. I see most of you just looking at there, oh, it's 170 million somewhere for photo days to use it. Yes. There are bigger pictures above that. When the US president speaks or takes an action, Americans see that as a guardians for them to do business. It provides guidance for them to transact with. Is that you going somewhere, your pa say, my man, me, you not get up play, and you the child behind your pa. What will you do? Your pa telling you, the man say, me, you ain't get up play. Will you the child be having play or established play or relationship with that person that your pa is telling me you don't get up play? My man, give my copa. Hello, my man, I come from my mother, I borrow you. If you the child sitting and see your man going, walking to your neighbor house and say, Mama, my mother I give to me, I need it. But Mama have been using that mother and the mother pencil for over 2-3 years. All of a sudden, the man just walked to Mama and said, Mama, give my mother pencil. You the child. When you sit there and see your man doing that, what will you do? Will in the absence of your man, and Mawata comes back to ask for your mother, will you take that mother to give it to Mawata? No, you will not do it. So Donald Trump is sending a message that resonates with Americans beyond just withdrawing aid to this country. To the extent that the entire governance system is not seeing the bigger picture or the effects or the spillover of the decision that Trump and his government are taking. President Zelensky has to come and say to you, hey, Liberia is at a crossroads. We've been saying this thing over and over. The bigger picture is ahead. That a serious government presided over by a serious president will take his time to focus on, to give priority to. And you spend all of your time chasing a handful of politicians from the other side, lawmakers too. And you think the world is not watching. President Zelensky spoke about consequences. Oh yes, whether positive or negative action, there will always be a consequence for your action, whether negative or positive. The Supreme Court. We had a space. President Zelensky said, look, this is not the time for the Supreme Court to start issuing ambiguous ruling that takes us away from a peaceful resolution of our issue or our problems on Capitol Hill. What was she saying? She was telling you, or she's telling you, that the ruling from the Supreme Court would have solved our problem up Capitol Hill. Instead, the ruling from the Supreme Court diverted our attention from finding a peaceful resolution. Meaning, had the Supreme Court come out to say clearly, hey, majority bloc, y'all go by, you're wrong. The whole thing you did on the electing speaker, the election of speaker is wrong and illegal. The election, the suspension of lawmakers is wrong, was wrong and illegal. The withholding of salary of lawmakers was wrong. And the Supreme Court had listed clearly the wrongful actions taken by the majority bloc in her ruling. President Zelensky is saying to you that it will have peacefully, or it will have kept us or put us on the road to resolution or to peacefully resolving our issues. There were actions taken by the majority bloc that took the minority bloc to the court. All President Zelensky is saying here, actions were taken by the majority bloc. You believe that if you believe, you as the Supreme Court, if you believe that those actions that were taken were illegal, you should have been clear. The decision by the majority bloc to move from the gavel of the speaker who was not removed, who are now resigned, and move into the joint chamber to begin a parallel session was illegal, and it is illegal. That one. Two, that illegal body sitting in the joint chamber, that decision taken by that illegal body in the joint chamber to suspend lawmakers was also illegal and order them to reinstate. 3, that decision taken by that body to elect a speaker was illegal. That the decision taken by that body to allow my man Clarence Garth to preside over that session, that body did not have the authority, and that decision was illegal. Had the Supreme Court ruled in that form and manner, clearly stating what was illegal. Because all of us wanted the Supreme Court to tell us the actions, the specific actions that were taken by the majority bloc that were illegal. They took actions. They suspended lawmakers. They moved all of the chamber of the House of Representatives. When they moved out, they selected Clarence Garth to serve as presiding officer. The second action. Under Clarence Garth's gavel, the deputy speaker, the speaker was announced or declared vacant. Under that leadership, they elected under the gavel of Thomas Farrar, they sat there and elected a new speaker. They also suspended or removed all committee heads that were elected for 3 years. And then they held election for new committee heads for outside their rules. So all of those actions were taken. Those were the actions that the minority bloc took to the Supreme Court. See, people have taken the actions, but these are what the law says. So we'll come to you for you all to interpret and rule. Supreme Court sat down and say, you right, you wrong. In the middle, y'all go handle your thing politically. How can somebody come to you to George case and say go handle it politically when the Constitution won and the statutory law are at stake with interpretation, and you are the only authority, you are the only body with the authority to interpret, and they say their action, their law says this, that your action is outside the law, it is wrong, and you are in the wrong. You are proceeding wrongly. How is that difficult for you? The Constitution gives you the authority to interpret. And based on your interpretation, you can come down with a ruling. I say, based on our interpretation of this law, you are wrong. You are proceeding wrongly. And you have to return to status quo ante. You have all of the laws available to the authority. And you sat there and allow yourself to be used politically, to be arm twisted by the executive. So President Sirleaf is saying, are you exercise your constitutional responsibility and assume that authority given to you by the Constitution without fear or favor? You have issued a straitjacket ruling stating all of the actions that were taken by the majority bloc that were wrong, and ordering them to return to status quo ante. You are guarded by the law. President Sirleaf is saying that's what she expected from you. When the country is in constitutional crisis, they go to you to solve constitutional crisis. They go to you when two sides are struggling to interpret or understand a particular law. They run to you to interpret and say, your interpretation is right, your interpretation is wrong. That's why I say you are the final arbiter. You are the final interpreter. You are the interpreter of our laws. And the final arbiter of justice. When you rule, nobody goes beyond you. There's nowhere beyond you that anybody goes. And a single ruling from you or misruling from you could put this country into civil war or into civil unrest or into violence. The country may go amok. Just a single ruling or interpretation from you. That's why they say you are always supposed to be clear in your ruling. When people go to the Supreme Court, they're not football game will go play where you see that jogging. You're supposed to use the law to determine who's right, who's wrong, or determine what is right and what is wrong. And all of the side that is proceeding wrongly to go back to status quo and proceed the right way in keeping with the law and state the law what the law says. I said a case here with the two political parties in Sierra Leone, Ernest Bai Koroma. When Ernest Bai Koroma, when their political party was in crisis, they went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled, and in fact, even established a deadline for them to have election, and establish the election body, establish the membership criteria to that election body. And set criteria who is qualified to even contest as chairman, secretary, and all of that for their party. The party was in crisis. The fact that you went to the court, it means you don't have the capacity to solve your problem. So you go to the court to solve it. Then you go to the court, the court said, no, go back and go solve your problem. If those people had the capacity to solve their problem, they will not go to the court because they don't have the capacity and the authority to solve that constitutional issue or that legal issue that is confronting them. That's why they went to the body with the authority to solve that constitutional issue. Then you, the only body in the country with that authority to solve the issue, you say you'll go back and go handle it politically. President Study is telling you exactly what we've said to you, that the ruling was ambiguous, and it is because of the ambiguity of your ruling that the house is where it is today. It is because of the ambiguity of your ruling that the issue in the house has spilled over to the Senate and spilled over to the executive that caused the country into political chaos and instability today. That's what she's saying to you. You have a single space to have solved the problem just by issuing a clear-cut ruling on which side is wrong, which side is right, and go back to do it over. The election of Richard Kun was illegal. You go back and redo it. The leaving the Capitol building was your right to walk away because there's law that tells the speaker what to do to compare absentee lawmakers to go to session. But to leave where you consider absent under the legal gavel of the speaker, and you go to convene a parallel session in the same building, I mean, you are not absent. You are being rebellious. That's what you are doing. And you go there, then you see that somebody who was not even on leadership. You say, you come and serve as presiding officer while your colleagues are meeting in the chamber under the legal gavel. The Supreme Court should have said all those actions were wrong and urge them to return to status quo and do it the right way. Let the Supreme Court rule, let the lawmakers go and violate the Supreme Court ruling. Let Joe Biden and the executive say we're doing business with them. Then you're start clear today. You should have ruled and allow the executive to disrespect your ruling and violate your ruling and go ahead and start doing business with the majority bloc. Then you're start clear today, you members of the Supreme Court bench. But you didn't play your role. You did not play your role. You did not exercise the responsibility and the authority given to you by the Constitution. That's why we are where we are today. You didn't act like a responsible body. The Supreme Court ruling was irresponsible. It was irresponsible. It was chaotic. Then the Associate Justice and presiding in chamber came out to clarify. He said, that's what we meant. But there was a bill of information prior to the clarification given by the Justice Yamin Gbese. There was a bill of information filed again in furtherance to their initial, to their first bill. They filed a bill of information after the ruling came out. The two sides were claiming glory. The two sides were claiming win. The minority bloc said, no, you know what? Let's go and file a bill of information. Asking them to interpret it, to simplify the ruling and tell us clearly exactly who is right, who is wrong, Let's know. The Supreme Court say, okay, we'll put your bill of information down. They close the February term of court. They went on break, they took break. The country is in constitutional crisis. The Supreme Court took a break. That's what President Salif is talking about. You issue ambiguous ruling. A ruling that the entire country was depending on that could have peacefully resolved the impasse of Capitol Hill. To the extent that a minister of justice will come and give an interpretation to the executive. On the basis of the minister of justice interpretation of your ruling, the executive decided to do business with the majority bloc. The Senate said no. The Senate has a legal department. In the Senate's committee chair, the Senate's committee on judiciary is supposed to interpret these rulings for the Senate that will provide guidance for the Senate to take a decision, to make a determination. Same applies to the House. The House has a committee on judiciary that is supposed to review the kinds of rulings from the Supreme Court and advise the House which decision to make, which direction to go. That's why in the two houses, those people elect the most senior lawyer to chair the committee on judiciary. But guess what? The chairman for the committee on judiciary in the Senate had already written an opinion. He was clear that the procedure used to work under the gavel of Fonati and elect and constitute a parallel body to start doing business was illegal, was wrong, and unacceptable, whether politically or democratically or legally. Councillor Chi, his articles are still online. So when the Supreme Court ruling came, the Senate should have taken that ruling to the Supreme Court. They said no. I mean to the committee on judiciary. They said no. Senator Che is a sedition, not about Che, but Augustine Che. Senator Augustine Che is a sedition. Even though he's the chair on judiciary, we're not taking the ruling because you are first supposed to seek advice from your specialized committee on legal issues. The first place you go is the committee on judiciary. How come all those senators I hear my man Ellen Snow bragging every day? Oh, that whole impeachment thing, we are not bringing it on. We are mature people here. We are elders here. We are in here. We're the house of elders. We are elders here. How come all the elders sat down, did not send the Supreme Court ruling to the Committee on Judiciary for interpretation? Rather, you know what the Senate said? The Senate issued a statement saying they are going to do business with the House, the majority bloc, based on the interpretation of the opinion of the Supreme Court by the Minister of Justice, not knowing, not considering that the Minister of Justice does not work for the Senate, for the legislature. The Minister of Justice does not work for the legislature. The Minister of Justice works for the executive. He advises the executive on legal issues. He makes representation on behalf of the executive. That is why you, the Senate, have oversight over the executive. And so when it comes to legal issues that are confronting the country and coming from the executive, the Senate's Committee on Judiciary is supposed to take charge under her oversight responsibility and find solution. The Senate is the one that's supposed to be calling the Minister of Justice. Say, my man, yeah, can you? The Supreme Court ruling, can't say that interpret. What do you mean? The Supreme Court just rule. What your interpretation of the ruling, their opinion? Then you question, okay, you're telling us that the ruling of the Supreme Court means this. That's no lawyer said it, Nana. Just start asking legal questions. A whole public hearing shall be called by the Senate Committee on Judiciary, set that Minister of Justice man brought down and set other people down on him and ask him questions. Boom, the senators jump up and say, based on the Minister of Justice advice, we are going to do business with the majority bloc. How dare you? And you call yourself elders? You call yourself elders? No. The elders were dumb on that one. They acted dummy. They were dumb on that one. You have a committee. It's a specialized committee that is supposed to review legal issues confronting the country. Your committee is supposed to advise on legal issue. When concession agreements go to the legislature, the two committees, that's why every bill, every petition, every concession agreement that goes to the legislature, you know what? The committees on what? Claims, judiciary claims and petition, the finance, ways, means finance, and blah, 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 are always on those they are always on the committees that can be named to review those documents. You know why? Because all of the documents that come, all of the legislative instruments that go to the legislature, they have financial and legal implications. So you always find the movement or the person making motion in the legislature telling you, they will tell you that the committees on ways, means finance, and the committees on ways, means finance, and judiciary should be on those different committees that are being formed by the presiding officer to review those concession agreements or those legislative instruments. If the financing agreement, whether concession agreement, whether treaty or whatsoever, because the Ways and Means will advise the Senate about the financial implication or about any treaty that goes to the legislature for ratification, and then the Judiciary Committee will advise the Senate or the House on the legal implications about signing or passing that agreement or ratifying that treaty. The two committees are essential in the House for decision making, especially for passing laws and interpreting laws. How come you rely on the Senate? How come you sat down, you left your committee on judiciary and rely your judgment, base your judgment and base your decision on the interpretation or the opinion from a political appointee who works at the pleasure of the president? Can you imagine? Group of men elected by the popular will of the people. They sent them to the Capitol building, they went there and seconded their authority to a political appointee who works at the pleasure of the president. Shame on the senators. Big shame on all of the senators that you all were elected by people, and you go to the legislature and you second your authority to a political appointee, to an opinion from a political appointee who works at the pleasure of the president. And you think the Minister of Justice will go tell the president that is supporting the removal of the speaker or the illegal removal of the speaker? Do you think that presidential appointee or that political appointee who works at the pleasure of the president will go tell the president, say, Mr. President, the Supreme Court say we in error, so therefore get it? No. Political appointees are sycophants, especially in African democracy or in African governance. Political appointees are all sycophants. They tell the president what he wants to hear. You can't base a Senate that is supposed to, a legislature that is supposed to be independent of the executive, that is supposed to exercise robust oversight over the executive, cannot be relying or basing their decision on an opinion from a political appointee, as in the Minister of Justice, who works at the pleasure of one man called the president. You're sitting there, you work at the pleasure of us, we the people. That man is appointed by the president. He works at the pleasure of the president. And you base your opinion, you base a decision on an opinion rendered by a political Minister of Justice to do business with a bloc that is illegal. Again, that's the House of Elders. My man Edison can say is the House of Elders. Even though I know some of the senators did not agree with the decision to do business with the majority bloc. I know some of them who did not agree with that decision, but again, The majority agreed. And some of those who did not agree with that decision, they came outside and said, no, the majority agreed, but for me, I did not vote for that thing. But again, the fact that majority people in the House of Elders, the fact that in the House of Elders, the majority will meet and decide to take an advice from a person that they are supposed to exercise oversight over. They're taking advice from the person. When they say you must oversee the person, they are giving you superior authority. They are giving you superior political authority, superior administrative authority, superior legal authority. They give you three major or fundamental authorities over the executive. Three fundamental authorities. They give it. The Constitution gives you three fundamental authorities over the executive. They give you political authority over them. They give you administrative authority over them. And they give you legal authority over them. Then you have those three authorities given to you by the Constitution over the executive. Then you succumb those authorities you succumb your power to the authority of a political appointee knowledge, to the knowledge of a political appointee who could be dismissed of her at any time. Then you subject our authority, our power will give you. You subject that power to the opinion of a political appointee. That's how you reduce the office of the Senate. By subjecting your authority, the man you are supposed to be exercising oversight over. You say, no, this is our authority. We are going to succumb or subject our authority to you, one minister of justice opinion. That will form the basis for us to do business with an illegal body. And still people say they're clapping at, they're honorable. You see, this is the country we have, the society we have. So President Seri spoke like a leader and like a mature leader. She spoke about unity, which I know Baga is extremely serious about unity. She spoke about political accountability. This is exactly the conversation we are having. The conversation we are having. Political accountability. The entire country is seriously unstable. When you need country with political instability, Liberia will be on that list. The country is heavily divided on political land. How do you account for political stewardship? The country is not peaceful. You have divided the country into two. No side feels comfortable working with the other side. Political accountability. Who are your political friends from the other side? Point to them. Who is Joe Baga even setting way? Who is the politician that Joe Baga or the political party that Joe Baga is even setting way from the other side of the opposition bloc to talk to? Who does he feel comfortable setting way talking to? Nobody. The major political parties in the country, Baga is not having conversation with any of them. His government people say they're not doing business with any of them. Political accountability. Because when a country is politically unstable, that country risks. That country risks losing potential investors who may want to come here to invest in your country. Because they will look at the stability of your country politically. They will look at the law, they will look at the lawfulness of your country. You see, the country too lawless, man. We can't go here. We can't go here to invest. Policemen fighting policemen, military men coming outside with gun against policemen. Motorcycle chasing them, they chasing motorcycles running all around. And nothing coming, nothing. No action is taken against anybody. Nothing is happening to anybody. No, man, we're not going to waste our money down there. Every day I a fee for Metasti. Companies that Metasti a fee for them. Metasti is talking about expanding, investing $2 billion here every 2 years. $2 billion every 2 years. I'm told in a new in the extension of their new contract. Imagine the serious company here. I mean, talking about investing that kind of money in your country, and you are risking it. You're putting that kind of investment at risk. Not just that. If that investment over 2,000 to 3,000 jobs, new jobs, are expected to be created. This is the quality of the investment that is being placed at risk. If this country is not kept peaceful and stable politically, who are the advisors around the president? What are they telling him? Are they even advising him? Is he even listening to them? Or is forgetting what they're telling him? This country, we will not advise anybody to go outside the law. But from all indications, the president is pushing. The president is pushing the opposition bloc to make this place ungovernable for him. You know, Baga knows that he's already a decorated failure. He's a decorated failure. So, let's make the country unpeaceful, unsafe. Let's wish hunt. Let's provoke tension and violence. Let's target opposition people who should push them or provoke them to cause chaos in the country or to cause nonsense or to keep the country basic politically. And then I'll be able to relax and say, oh, that the opposition people, they didn't give me a chance to govern. But the opposition people, they're playing their cool. Say, no, Mr. Barra, the 4 year part, the 2nd year again, go ahead. Do what you want to do. You wish on people, our leaders, our lawmakers will not come after you. We will not cause chaos. We will escort them to the police and have them subjected to the authority, and you interrogate them. We escort them back to their homes. We will not resist arrest because they expect that the CDC will come and say, oh, Fonante is not going anywhere. We are going to resist arrest. That's what the UP wants. They said, no, we will escort our people to the police headquarters. How you be standing over the country, and it is the opposition bloc that is aiding, struggling to keep the country peaceful. President Sadi just said it right, and she closed the chapter on this whole thing. What we are waiting now is the Supreme Court. The March term of court, I'm told, is supposed to open on the 7th. Between now and that maybe this week or early next week. We wait to see what the Supreme Court is going to come out with. Come out with a clear-cut ruling. Even if you want to be political, tell Fonadi, say Fonadi, you know what I mean? The action of the majority bloc was legal and this and that, and they acted legally. No problem. At least you said something straight. At least you issue a straight jacket ruling. So if you want to be political, then rule in favor of the majority bloc and set the precedence. Finish. If you want to be political, just rule in favor of the majority bloc, and then the precedence is set. Tomorrow, as soon as you rule in favor of the majority bloc, say everything they did was legal, was constitutionally guarded, everything. Trust me, I know. All I was starting for, you know what I mean? The court has spoken. The court say everything Richard Kunen did was legal, was guarded by the Constitution. So yeah, it is legal, it is acceptable on our political and democratic practice now. So let's accept it. Oh, if we accept it, no problem. We accept it. So tomorrow we're ready to come and say, you know what I mean? You Richard Kunen, you not speak of moon. Oh, go to the court say, hey, the precedence here. You said that how we supposed to remove speaker? There's a precedence here. Then they will have nothing to argue about. If what they did was wrong, come out clear and say, hey, everything you did was wrong, illegal, and we declare it null and void, and order you to retain the status quo and go and do it the right way. And look, I beg you, in serious country, some people can, in fact, go beyond the scope and even tell you, all those doing business with you, to desist or cease from doing business with the so-called, with any so-called majority bloc, and return to status quo. They'll put the executive inside, put the senate inside, and issue a ruling. I say everybody, everyone doing business with this group to desist or refrain and return to status quo, that the legitimate speaker per our laws remains considered Jonathan Funadi Kofa. And if you simple, you just issue a straight ruling. You won't record that majority block and say everything they did was legal. Do it. At least the record will show that you issue a straight ruling, and then Funadi people will go and stay down and say, okay, they say what happened, the way they did it, it correct with my people. So we're going back to go do our people work now. When they go back now, they see what they use. They see means they use to remove Funadi too. We say, okay, today we're not sitting on a gallery here, you're not speaker. The Supreme Court said that how was supposed to be removing speaker. So we not want you to. When not start say, hey, you're not presiding, yo. You're not presiding. We don't want you. When you presiding, we move on to a gavel too. We go sit down in different place too. The Supreme Court said that how we do it. That's so be clear, come out clear. But President Sirleaf is right. Your ruling actually took us away from a peaceful resolution of this matter. The ruling of the Supreme Court actually took us away from a peaceful resolution. The two sides were negotiating, the two sides were talking. From the day the Supreme Court issued that ruling, majority black men say, hey, what is that? Also, 12 he came and issue so they say, oh, but then on the basis of also 12 or interpretation, we're doing business with majority bloc. The Seneca share a portion, executive share a portion, but it is Supreme Court, which is the singular legal and constitutional authority to interpret constitutional matters. If the court has said, hey, everything you did was wrong, you go back, you return to status quo, the executive was going to be embarrassed and they were not going to do business with the majority bloc. The Senate was going to be embarrassed, but they were not going to do business with the majority bloc. So yes, President Sirleaf was right. This decision, the ambiguous ruling from the Supreme Court, took us away, took us from a peaceful resolution. It took us, it removed us, it pushed us off the track that we directed towards a peaceful resolution. So wait to see what the Supreme Court is going to do in the coming days when they have declared the March term of court open. And see what would they say. But this is the situation, folks. We all have to keep talking to Funadi and the members of the minority bloc to keep living or staying within the confines of the laws. They should continue to exercise patience and tolerance, high degree of tolerance too, and not allow anything to provoke them into anger or violence and all of that. Because this shall come to pass. Nothing lasts forever. No situation lasts forever. No condition is permanent. No condition is permanent. No situation. The Bible says that nothing lasts forever. So these are trying times. These are trying moments. These are tests of times that politicians go through. These are trying moments that politicians face. So you all just don't lose your emotions. Don't lose your tolerance. This shall come to pass. And like President Sirleaf said, there are consequences ahead of all of those who are involved, who are engaged with proceeding lawlessly, recklessly, and carelessly in our country. Drink some water. And that's how and that's it. So let's see whether we can pick calls. We know that we're supposed to pay some monies out tonight. I think we'll have 4 or 5 persons who want to give $1,000 to each, and then we can start picking calls. But yes, the cash giveaway is up tonight. You have to we announce the short code to you. Okay, so let's go to the telephone lines and pick calls on the different numbers: 0776 104 104, 0886 500 104 are the numbers to call tonight and be a part of the conversation. Let's hear you. President Sirleaf has spoken, condemning, criticizing the actions of the lawmakers. They're filibustering over issues when they should be discussing issues that will impact the lives of you. The Supreme Court issuing ambiguous ruling and all of that. Let's go to this person. Let's hear you. Hello, good evening to you.
Yeah, good evening, my name is. Good evening, my name is Jerry.
Okay. You're live. Let's hear you.
Okay, thank you. So I like the way you put it. I love the entire discussion. You know, the Supreme Court is the one that gets to where we are today. Because by the fact that if we're going to experience any cases, the Supreme Court will come to be fully responsible for what we're going to occur within our country. Because you cannot do a case is ruling and a ruling just with everybody in limbo. Because I even understand anything of a ruling. If the ruling was not clear, it did not establish itself, like the other ruling that is not. I was very disputation. It was clear. Everybody understands what is fair by case. But they want everybody go for them. So we don't know where we are heading to.
Thank you very much. Any confusion, we don't know where we are heading to. Let's hear this person. Hope the Supreme Court can make amends to their decision. Hello, good evening to you. Salala, let's hear you. Who is your lawmaker? Okay, go ahead.
You know, my brother can say all. When the incident occurred, we used to tell people in international forums, we tell them that the government is not proceeding the way it's supposed to proceed. You know, any country with all law, everybody can just be doing their country.
Sure.
So, I listened to Madam Sally. You know, the Minister of Justice, I always see on air that the justice system in the country is not doing well for our citizens.
Mm-hmm.
And just this is why now coming to our life. So for me, cover is the legitimate speaker as we know by law. So if other people can say they will remove cover because they put into their hands, they are just doing their own thing. As the president said, the former president said, those people don't lose, they will face the consequences and they will have them to be blamed. Because if you say they hold for error, then the error say that was the just occurred. Then they come into light. Whoever is responsible, but we pray that the Minister of Justice should think twice and bring the ruling out so that our country can be free, so we can expect investors to come.
Thank you very much. Our country should be free, so investors can come. I don't know whether that message is going to resonate with Joe Bagger. But that's what we have. So let's take 4, 5, 6 calls, and then we call 8 a day. This person. Good evening to you.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
We are fun. Let's hear you quickly.
This is T. Patrick calling you from Buffalo County, Buffalo District 1.
Okay, let's hear you.
Yeah, it's not true. we knew that when this old man comes to power, this country will go backward. But we need to tell people to pushing politics. For me, I don't have no interest in any party. I always like to see the right thing to be done for Liberia. People growing up in this country should be able to not play, my brother. The guy would do everything because the man will not come back to power. The man know he old age now. So he would do anything instead of doing that what he would do to satisfy his desire. Thank you.
Thank you very much. He's going to do anything to satisfy his desire. He knows he's in his old age. He's not going to come back. Okay, that's not going to that play. Somebody said we should play Eddie Voice again. That play. But I don't play Eddie Voice. I want to play one song for you. Is there you want new Brazil? We get the new Brazil. But is there guys that want good? Brazil. We get the new Brazil. But is there guys that want good? Let me play. We play new Brazil. We give them the new Brazil. But is there guys that want good? But is there guys that no job? So yeah, they say they want new Brazil. We get a new Brazil. They still guys that hungry. Yeah? So okay, listen to the man. Listen to that. That's entertaining small.
New Brazil, we get the new Brazil, we get the new Brazil. They say they want new Brazil, we get the new Brazil. Give us every night to get big. They step in your house every day. We not talk every day, but stay. They won't go killing us every day. I will come and save us now. I will come and save us now. Parachute killing us every day. Taking everybody to pray. They say they want new press, so we give them the new press, so they can't say hungry. They say they want new press, so we give them the new press, so they say they hungry. Plenty people name for what they want. Take it for the party. Don't say stand, no rules in place. So don't corruption in our place. Hunger killing us. Hunger killing us. Hunger killing us.
Hunger killing us.
We give them the new press. So
they say also you're a teaser. They just don't come up.
We get the new press, so they can't say hunger. Give us every night to get paid. They step in your house every day. We not talk every day, but stay. They won't go killing us every day. I will come and save us now. I will come and save us now. Parachute killing us every day. Making everybody just to fly. They say they want new press, so we get the new press, so they can't say okay. They say they want new press, so we get the new press, so they can't say okay. Plenty people name for party, take it for the party. Don't say stand, no rules in place, so don't corruption in our place. Hunger
Killing us. The hunger killing us. The hunger killing us. Hunger killing us. Hunger killing us. Hunger killing us. Okay. That song is by Joe J Bobo, So the man is coming up with a new. They want you outside you. I had teaser. Okay, folks. So let's squeeze in 2 calls. Let me see what I can squeeze in 2 calls, and then we call Nadia to go home. So let's squeeze in just 2 calls. I'll play Eddie Voice tomorrow. Yeah, I beg you. I'll play Eddie audio again tomorrow. Yeah. I'll play Eddie audio tomorrow. But we have to go. Yes, we have to go. So, folks, we have to go. And that's good. That's good. That's good.
Hello, we'll talk more, yeah? Okay, let's go.
So yes, that's how we leave all of you. This song closes. It opens and closes. The tough talk here tonight, every night. So let's say thanks to all of you for listening tonight. Thanks to Councillor Jonathan Fonanti-Kufa for picking our call and talking to us tonight. Thanks to all of you who call in to participate. Thanks to those of you who watch us. Thanks to those of you who listen to us.
We tire with the promises that led us to allow us damages.
By God's grace, we shall be back here tomorrow.
Indeed, and now you need it.
But until then, do have yourselves pleasant moments in your respective areas. My name is Austin. Bye-bye.
You still go on, that you alive, that therapies don't be. See, it's just tell you. Now, why we will tell you.